What happens to a woman's body after a long period without intimacy? I need to start with a truth that is going to surprise you. When a woman goes a long time without intimacy, what happens isn't what you imagine. She doesn't get desperate. She's not anxiously waiting for someone to show up. In fact, the exact opposite happens. And it's precisely this opposite that confuses most men over 50. I'm going to tell you exactly what science and psychology reveal about this silent process. And look, once you understand this, you'll realize why so many relationships go cold for no apparent reason, why that incredible woman seems so emotionally distant, and mainly why your attempts to get close again are not working. The truth is that the female body was designed to seek balance always. When intimacy disappears from a woman's life for a prolonged period, something fascinating happens in her nervous system. Desire doesn't vanish, it reorganizes, it adapts. You see, in the first few months without sex, there might even be some frustration, some longing, but the human brain is a survival machine. It doesn't let you suffer eternally for something that isn't available. So the nervous system starts an automatic regulation process. First key shift, the emotional activation threshold rises. This concept sounds technical, but it explains more confusion in modern dating than almost anything else. Let's slow it down and make it practical. When a woman experiences intimacy consistently, emotional closeness, physical affection, meaningful attention, her nervous system stays highly responsive. Small moments carry weight. A brief touch on her arm, a warm glance held just a second longer, a conversation that feels genuine instead of surface level, these moments spark emotion. They register quickly, they create movement inside her. But when intimacy becomes absent for an extended period, something subtle but powerful happens. The nervous system recalibrates, sensitivity decreases. Just like your ears stop noticing background noise after a while, her emotional system stops reacting to low-level stimuli. Think about walking into a dim room from bright sunlight. At first, everything disappears. Slowly, your vision adjusts. With desire, the process works in reverse. The system adapts to low stimulation by becoming less reactive. Signals that once mattered now pass through unnoticed. So, when you smile, offer warmth, or try to build a connection, it may feel like nothing lands. Not because she dislikes you, not because you failed, but because her internal filter has thickened. Stronger input is now required to produce the same internal response. Second shift, desire turns inward. This is where most men misunderstand what they're observing. When desire has regular expression, it stays outward focused, it looks for interaction, it seeks exchange, it wants feedback. But when desire goes without expression for too long, it doesn't disappear, it redirects. Instead of searching externally, it collapses inward. Intimacy stops being a central organizing force in her emotional world. Other priorities quietly take its place. Predictability, calm, emotional steadiness, routine. Here's the part that confuses people the most. This transition doesn't feel like deprivation to her. It feels like strength. It feels like balance. It feels like emotional maturity. So while you sense distance, she experiences control. While you feel something fading, she feels regulated. From the inside, nothing seems wrong. The system feels complete. That's why what you interpret as emotional coldness is for her stability, its peace, its equilibrium, and equilibrium resists disruption, not intentionally, but biologically. Third shift, the need for external validation drops sharply. This point changes everything once you truly understand it. When a woman goes a long time without intimacy, she often stops relying on male attention to feel emotionally grounded. She develops a form of self-containment, a quiet independence. On the surface, this looks empowering, and in many ways it is, but there's a hidden consequence. Desire that no longer needs external response becomes difficult to express. It doesn't reach outward, it stays dormant, controlled, silent. So you show up with presence, with care, with availability, and it feels like nothing opens, nothing responds, nothing mirrors you back. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're offering nourishment to a system that has learned how to operate without hunger. If this is clicking for you so far, tap the like button. It helps this kind of deeper psychological content reach the men who actually need it. Fourth shift, urgency disappears. This is where most men lose their footing completely. You are conditioned to look for signs, spark, tension, escalation, momentum. When those signals aren't present, you assume something is broken. That interest is gone. That attraction never existed. But what you're often encountering isn't disinterest, it's low reactivity. Her nervous system has reached an efficient state. Calm costs less energy than change, and the brain avoids reorganizing systems that already feel stable. This isn't a conscious decision, it's neurological economy. That's why calmness can be misread as indifference, why emotional steadiness feels like distance, why everything seems neutral even when respect and comfort are clearly present. Final and most important truth: silence is not communication. You've been trained to decode signals, so when signals disappear, your mind panics. You search for meaning, you assume rejection, you tell yourself the door is closed. But in this specific context, silence isn't a message. It's simply the absence of need. When nothing is required, nothing is signaled. That's why you feel lost. There are no cues to react to, no instructions, no feedback loop. Most men interpret this as the end, but psychologically, it's just regulation. And regulation is not shut down. Here's what you need to remember: living without intimacy doesn't drain a woman. It reorganizes her. Her emotional system becomes quieter, less reactive, more inward. This shift isn't chosen, it's adaptive biology. That's why attraction can feel distant while respect remains intact, why warmth feels muted even when comfort exists, why connection feels calm but not alive. Now you understand what's actually happening, and understanding gives you power. The power not to personalize silence, the power to adjust instead of chasing, the power to create genuine connection rather than forcing expectation. Subscribe to the channel. Every week, I break down the psychology most people never explain, turning confusion into clarity. You deserve relationships that function, not relationships you constantly question. And that begins with understanding what no one ever taught you until the next insight.